What are we going to do if things start to work around here? It's just unreasonable. At least it has been to date. That's okay, we'll reason with it. Oh, that's a good thing to know. That's okay. Yes, I did. I've got like 500 emails from this class that I need to sort through and start grading things on. I just finished grading the last batch of things and the last homeworks and project stuff, and so as I finish entering that stuff in, and I will send you a grade sheet so that you know what you've turned in, what I've received from you, and what you've turned in, what you haven't turned in. And then, let's see, where am I at here? I think it's this one. No, that's not right. There we go. Then after, I'm sorry, what's that? Oh. Anyway, yeah, I've received all that stuff, and I've got a bunch of stuff graded and a bunch of stuff yet to grade. And as soon as I enter this stuff into the grade book, I will send you a copy of your part of the grade book so you can see what you've done, what you haven't done, what your grades are so far. And then we'll go from there, and then I'll take another batch and start grading it. This kind of a class with all this project work is a lot of grading and a lot of printing off of things. I spend usually about half a day just printing things off out of my email so I can sort through them and organize them and grade them properly. But I will be doing that this week for those things you've sent in the past week, and I will be entering in grades from the week to 2 weeks before that, and then you'll have, hopefully by the end of this week, you'll have an idea of what you've turned in so far. I'm not worried about anybody's grades. Everybody is doing quite well, turning things in and doing the homework, completing the homework, and doing a good job on it. So nothing to worry about. Just need to get it all caught up and done. So for this class today, we have. Let's take a look at our syllabus and see where we're at. We're doing our slow car project. Problem level on ribbon. So today is Monday the 5th, which is supposed to be our second day of the slow car project, at which time you should have turned in at least preliminary designs, and you should have today, by the end of today, you should have done a final design and start kind of working on a prototype. And besides just kind of pointing that out, that's where you should be. I really don't have anything else for you except to remind you that you should be keeping track of things in your logbook. Now, I've had several questions by email about what should be kept in a logbook. And let's take a look here. Let's see if I can find I think I have a logbook. There we go. What we're hearing is the intercom. Let's see if I can. I'm not finding a logbook in this work here. Well, let's see if we can get back online and find a logbook. I did mention, I believe, that that for logbooks, Google Docs is a great place to go. You could also use Microsoft Word. Let's actually, let's go to Microsoft Word, actually, now that I think about it. So if you were going to do this in Microsoft Word, you would merely open up a new document. Let's see, how do I open up a new, there we go, a new document. And I would just, maybe just open up a blank document here. And for this project, on my first day, which would have been probably last Friday, which was October 2nd, maybe I might have done something before that, but let's just say it was October 2nd. Well, let's say it was 9:30. So 9:30:15, and let's say that I started this at 3 p.m. or something like this. I'm going to go ahead and put my name here daily. My first entry might start off like this, and I would give it a title. Maybe beginning research for the slow car project. Right? And since this is my very first, I might give that a underline or something just to set it apart. But since this is my first entry, let's see, underline, there we go. I might just explain the project a little bit. This project involves building, I can't spell, involves designing and building a car from my build kit that will be slow and stay inside, stay inside of a 2-meter circle. Goodness, my typing is terrible. For as long as possible without stopping. Right? Something like that. And then I might link to, maybe I'll link to the document for the project that I gave you. Maybe upload the document. So I just attach it into my Google Drive or something, and then I have a project document link here that I link to, and that has all of the specifics about this project. And then I'm going to say I researched. Let's say I've decided rubber band powered cars are a good idea because I've got a lot of rubber bands. Powered cars. Goodness, cats. Goodness. On Google for 30 minutes and found the ideas below. So then, below, okay.
Are you class?
Yeah, I'm teaching a class.
Okay.
So, so then below this I would maybe include a few links, and I would explain it. So this link, this one is made of wood and is a fast car. I don't want a fast car, I want a slow car. So, but that's important to put in there because maybe I won't look at that one first. Maybe I do this one. Is a slow car that uses parts I don't have. So you might have to improvise a little bit here. And so on. You might have maybe 4 or 5 links here. And then at the end of that, maybe that's all you did that day, and you go on to your your next thing. I leave a little space so that it's obvious you're putting in a new one. And so maybe 10-2 is your next entry. So 10-2-15, and you can even say it's Friday, whatever. And let's say you did this at 2:30 p.m. And now we're going to put my name in here again, Jared Daly. And if you're the only person in this logbook, you could just say this is the logbook of Jared Daly. All entries are made by me, or whatever. And then I put another title on here just to say what I'm doing. So now I'm making 3 alternative designs from my research. Right? Go ahead and underline that to set it apart so I know it's a title. And then I go on to say, to describe my first design. First design, oops, I'm still in underline mode, don't want that. Design 1, let's say this is, this takes ideas from link 1 and link 3 above and adapts them to my materials, just to give a basic idea of what this is about. And then maybe you have a drawing. Maybe you put the drawing directly in the document. Maybe you link to the drawing or whatever. And then you do your next design, your next alternative design, and your next alternative design. And maybe at the same time you're evaluating. So you put the evaluation matrix in, and you can put that directly in here. And you can put that in by adding, for example, inserting a table. We go over here to a table, insert a table, and it becomes your evaluation table. How you evaluate this? How good does this? How good does this meet the requirements? Is it use very few materials? The efficiency of the design. Is it going to be a good performance from the design? Does it seem like it'll perform well? So on and so forth. The different things that you think you need to grade this design on, and put in your evaluation matrix and start grading your design on that matrix, and decide, begin to decide if it's one that you're going to use. And then after you're done with this one, you're going to have another one, of course. A few days later, probably today or maybe tomorrow, you're going to have an entry where you're going to have name, date, name, time, date, and all that stuff. And you're going to be choosing a design. So your title will be underline, choosing a design from my alternatives, right? And you put in the final design drawing, maybe explain why. I would maybe right here explain why I want to use this design. This design has advantages, such and such and such. Just start writing a bunch of stuff down here that's you think is important. Why, the reasons you chose this design. And that's kind of the basic idea of this: is you're putting the important information down, explaining things that you put into your notebook or your logbook, and then putting that information in the logbook, including drawings and evaluations and research and whatever, all these kinds of things. In the end, you'll start putting photographs in. So you'll have probably an entry that says, building my first prototype, building my first car. And you'll take pictures of the different stages of the car. Maybe you'll have a stage where you're building the drivetrain, the thing that's going to make the wheels turn. Or you'll put in a design that's, a part of it that's the power plant of the car, or whatever it is that's going to make the car go, or the wheels of the car, or the chassis of the car, the frame of the car, whatever. And so maybe you have different steps that you're building, and each one of those steps you might take pictures of it and show how it's made, and then take pictures of how it's put together. Anything that goes wrong in the building of the car, take a picture of it and say, this went wrong, and to fix it I did this. Put that in there so that the person that's following your work can come along and say, I think that I'm going to try to avoid making that mistake by following these instructions. And then you should of course have a picture of your final design. And then of course you will be testing. You'll test You'll test the car to see if it does what you expected it to do. If it doesn't do what you expected it to do, then maybe you go back and change it so that it will. Maybe you're fixing something, maybe you're changing the design a little bit, so redesigning. And if you redesign, you should have a new drawing and a new, of course, a new prototype picture and everything else to show what you changed and how you changed it. And that is the idea of the logbook, so that the entire process of the design is recorded. The entire process has been kept track of, so that somebody can come back and repeat your work. So hopefully that will answer all the questions, or at least most of the questions about the logbook. I did have several people asking questions about how the logbook works. In the end, for a project like this, I would say a minimum of 10 pages. A minimum. If you put your drawings in the logbook itself, actually paste them in, I would say a minimum of 20 pages. If you're putting your drawings and all of your pictures in here. If you're just putting links into those things, then a minimum of 10 pages probably. And it's not all just plain out writing. I mean, there's a lot of tables, there's a lot of just short, paragraphs. There's a lot of white space, because you don't want to have these all jammed together. You want to have them obviously separated by a fair amount of space. Give yourself, 4 or 5 carriage returns in here, what used to be called carriage return. Just hit return button a few times, just to give some serious space in here. It's also nice to have space in here so that if you end up printing this off for any reason, you have room to make notes if necessary. Of course, if it's on an electronic document, you can always make space, and it's no big deal. Make use of things like underlining. If you don't want to use underlining, you can use bold. I think underlining is kind of nice in a document like this. It just kind of delineates a section. It delineates a line. It gives you a nice horizontal component to this vertical document. But don't try to stuff a bunch of stuff in all in one place. You should never see in a document like this just huge paragraphs, never-ending paragraphs of just text, because that's difficult to wade through. You mostly want to have short paragraphs, simple sentences that are very straightforward, and lists of things, like this. I researched rubber band-powered cars on Google for 3 minutes, found these ideas. And these should be numbered, link 1, link 2, link 3. I didn't number them, but they should be. And make it simple. When you have a list like this, it's also a good idea to maybe do bulleting, so just highlight these and put bullets in, or maybe even a numbered list so that they already have numbers on them. But if you do something like that, then they're already numbered, and you can tell that it's a list, and that's kind of nice. Links should also be highlighted, so they should be a different color, and most programs do that automatically just so that you can see the link very easily. But make use of the tools to offset information so that it's obvious what it is. Lists should be offsetted with, numbering or bullets. If you're going to reference these lists later on, you should number them, so you can say number 5 in the list above, or number 3 in the list above, or whatever. And it makes it just easier as I come down here, and I said takes ideas from links 1 and 3 above. They can say, oh, this link and the link that's not here, but it should be, right? It just makes everything easier. I can actually show you, well, no, I can't, because I can't access that one easily. I'm actually doing a research project myself for a company in California right now, where we're taking data for agriculture. But I can't remember the password to get into that one. It's automatically entered in on my computer at home, and I have all that information written down. But anyway, the data that we have that we're taking is where we've got these long lists of data, and we've got it's just a huge table of data. But off to the right we have a place where we can take notes, and we're just constantly writing notes in there. And so that's kind of the idea here, is that every day that you're working on a project, you have a place where you can write down important things that have happened and information that is necessary. Do you have any questions about logbook, what it should contain, how things should be entered in? Okay. If you do have any questions, feel free to email me. You can send me your logbook. In fact, that's one of the things that I would like to request from you by the next class, by Wednesday. I would like to see a version of your logbook. It doesn't have to be the final version after the project is done, but I would like to see a version of your logbook before Wednesday, before we meet on Wednesday. And on Wednesday, we're hoping to have this project done, I believe. Let's see, it says rotor van driven car for slow speed distance, Wednesday 10/7, right. And then we're starting chapter 6 on Friday. Now that's not a hard, set in stone kind of date. We'd like to have it done by Wednesday, but if you're not quite done building by Wednesday, that's fine. You can finish building it and test it, because I lost my student here in North Platte, so all my students are now distance learning students. So you will be testing these on your own. And to test them is really quite simple. You need to find yourself a nice big open space, at least 2 meters by 2 meters, and you need to mark off in that space a 2-meter circle. So I would get a meter stick and hold it in the center of that space somewhere, and maybe with a pencil draw a circle around the outside edge as you rotate that meter stick around. You have to have 2 people to do this probably. You can use a pencil, or you can tape down some masking tape, or a piece of string or whatever, to mark the edge of your area, your 2-meter area. And then release the car in that 2-meter area. In the past, what I have done, let me see if I can find a video of what I've done in the past. I can't remember if I put the video in this or not. I don't think that is a video of that. No, I didn't put any videos in my file here. But anyway, essentially what you'll do is you'll draw a picture, and let me bring up I'm going to bring up a little whiteboard here that I can draw on while I'm talking. Let's see. Hopefully they remember my password here. Okay. So, holy moly. Those are big buttons. Why is it so big? It's kind of weird. Oh well, there's. I wonder if I can change that. Zoom, yeah, let's go to normal size. Let's go even smaller. Let's go to 50%. There we go. That's fine. Okay, so if this is your 2-meter circle that you've got here, this is not going to be a great circle, but it's a circle-ish kind of thing. And you've got your center, of course, and it doesn't need to be perfect by any means, but your car will be released at the edge of the circle somewhere. And I can release it any direction that you want me to release it. I can release it pointing inwards towards the center, or I can release it pointing outwards towards the side. So in fact, you can release it any way you want to. It doesn't really matter. But what I would recommend is powering it up and getting it ready, and then placing it in the circle, whichever orientation you want. And then you need to make a video of this. So just follow this around with your phone or your camera or whatever it is you're going to use to make a video with. And we need to kind of use that video to time how long it's in there. If you don't have a camera or a phone that takes video, borrow one from a teacher or from a friend or somebody, and take some video that way. If you absolutely cannot find anybody that can do that, can loan you something like that, I can send you one. It would take some time, but I can do that. So I can send you a small camera that will do this. But anyway, record the video of the car moving. I think that in my last class, the record was something like 5 seconds or something like that. It was not a very long time. So usually you don't have to take much video. It's kind of difficult to make a car that moves very slow for long amounts of time. However, plan for maybe 25, 30 seconds just in case. you do extremely well. You may, I don't know. And anyway, that's kind of how I do this. It's a pretty simple testing procedure. I think that I said I allow 3 runs per car, and in between runs you can fix the car if it is broken, but you cannot change the design of the car. You can only fix it back to its original design parameters. Anyway, that's kind of where we're at with this. So, as you get through this design and get to a final design that you have decided on using, and then you start prototyping this design, start building this design, a few things that you should know, and I will explain them to you. And that is, I'm gonna need just a minute. I'm gonna go get a couple of pieces of the build kit to show you really quick. I'll be right back. Okay, so I actually lost one. I forgot one piece, but anyway, let's take a look at these pieces really quick. Let me get this changed from computer to document camera. Let's see if it can work. There it is. Okay, so what we've got here, of course you have these plastic doohickeys in your kit, and they only have a little... You can't see any of this at all? Were you able to see my computer while I was working on it? But you can't see this, huh? Let me see. How about now? Of course, couldn't have a perfect day. Could never happen. Oh, here we go. Let's try this. How about now? Still no? Oh, gracious. Okay. Like you're just looking at me not moving? This is fantastic. Okay. What are you seeing now? Great. Okay, let's try this again. What? What are you seeing now? Same thing, okay. Let's go here. Primary input source. And then now what do you see? See me? No, not frozen anymore. But you still can't see my document camera. Well, that's just fantastic. All right, let's go back to the computer. Let's actually, let's go to, yeah, let's go back to the computer and see if that works. So, you see my computer. I'm going to try it one more time and see if the document camera will work. Yeah, I can see it on my end. On all my screens, my image is up. It's just not showing up on your end. So still no document camera there. You're still not seeing anything there? Okay. I'm just going to go back to the PC and we'll bring them up online. I can find them online. I have a gift. I can find anything online. All right, here we go. Let's look if I can remember where these came from. These were called, what was it called? It was called, shoot, I can't remember now. It's called Geek something. Is it Geek something or something else? No, it's, okay. So, well, let's look at Harbor. This is very, very small. Harbor Scientific. Oh, gracious. Where do these things come from? Too many places. I'm pretty sure it was Arbor Scientific. And I'm pretty sure this is the stuff. I'm going to have to guess oh, you know what? I can find it another way. Because I do that here. This one right here tells me where this is at. Teacher Geek, that's what it's called. I remember. Teacher Geek. Okay, let's see if we can find. These are available in different places. Okay, so these are the things that we need to be talking about. In your kit, you'll have these plastic beans that have the holes in them, of course. And I only gave you maybe 4 or 5 of those, so you have to use them sparingly or use them in such a way that you can reuse them again, because they're useful. Then you have these red things, which are wheels, and you have some rather thick rubber bands that are actually tires for those wheels. So the thick rubber bands will fit right over the top of this and make a little grippy tire for it. Now whether or not you want your tires to grip or not is up to you, but you should know that that's what those thick rubber bands are for. You also have, of course, all the wooden parts, but you also have all the gears. So here are the gears that you can use for gearing down or gearing up your car to make it go slow, for example. Other things that are included are parts for pulleys, and here you can kind of see a pulley, kind of here, that's not a really great one. Here's a much better view of a pulley. It's one of these things that kind of looks like a wheel, except that it's got these little sides sticking up on it. And that's so that you can stretch a rubber band in between it and another pulley. And there's pulleys of different sizes, different colors and different sizes, of course. And of course you also have all kinds of screws and nuts and bolts and other things like this. One thing that that is included in the kit that is quite useful is a bunch of yellow tubing. And let me see if I can find them using yellow tubing right here on this one. They're using yellow tubing. Well, actually, they're not. Here, they're using a clip out here. As you put these wooden dowels through things, to keep them from slipping around, you can either use one of these yellow clips, or there's yellow tubing that you can cut off and you can slide it over the dowel and it will hold things in place. So that's a useful thing to have, is that yellow tubing. Other things that you might use that need explanation, I'm trying to think of other parts. Can't really think of any that need any explanation. Of course, you do have a lot of clear tubing and some syringes. Those are definitely going to be needed later on, so if you use them, make sure you're not using them in a way that you can't use them again. And so anyway, do you have any questions about the parts that you have to work with? Okay. It doesn't necessarily need to be powered by rubber bands, but that's pretty much your best bet using that kit. I'm not allowing any outside parts really for this project, so if you have a thought about using an outside part, you can suggest it to me. But if you want to use an electric motor, for example, I'm not going to let you use that. You'll have to come up with something else to power it, and there's just not a lot in the kit that besides rubber bands. You could use gravity to power it, and that is a distinct possibility. It's a little, you'd have to be pretty clever to do it, but it's definitely possible. All right? Any other questions? Well, if you've got your first alternative design, then you should find at least you should come up with at least 2 other alternative designs and start evaluating, just like we did with the bridge project. So you're essentially following very similar steps with the bridge project, except you don't have a workbook to work from. You're making your own logbook. Does that make sense? So today and tomorrow you should work on at least 2 other designs and begin evaluating them. And by Wednesday, you want to have a final design that you've chosen from those 3 alternative designs and a final design drawing that should be in your logbook. And, at this point, we're not really turning things in so much as we are getting them into our logbook and then, sharing that logbook with me so I can see where you're at. Due dates are not as important in this class as following the process and learning what engineers do. And especially since you're out, at distance learning site, I'm not really worried so much about the due dates as I am about going through the process in a regular manner and working on it every day. Working on it well, not every day, but you should work on it at least 3 or 4 days a week. So, does that make sense? Okay. Yeah, I'd like to have this project done and have, you know, a good tested prototype by the end of this week. Sound good? All right. Well, if there are no more questions, we can break for today, and I will see you guys Wednesday. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I will continue. I don't always answer every email because the emails that are things that you're turning in, I don't answer because I'm getting so many of them. I will try to answer every email that comes in that has questions in it as soon as I possibly can. But I'm getting a little bogged down this semester, so it may take, you know, as much as a day for me to get an email answered as I sift through all my emails and try to get things graded. But please do email me or call me or something, and we'll talk to you later.